The husband humiliated and treated his wife like an employee until the day came when he tasted his own poison. The day shone, but not for Emma, who already in the morning was humiliated by her husband. Despite being a dedicated wife, she had no value in Kevin's eyes. Every gesture of affection or effort to please him was received with contempt and criticism. "Once again this coffee," Kevin shouted, wrinkling his nose at the steaming cup that Emma offered him with a shy smile. The smile. Emma fainted as she tried to swallow her tears. She promised herself that one day things would change. After the coffee episode, Kevin continued to launch his criticisms. "Leave it. I'm not going to drink this horrible coffee on the street. I'll buy a better one. Now, go get me my shirt," Kevin ordered. From work, Emma, with a heavy heart, went to look for the shirt, trying to ignore the harsh words. When she returned, she handed the shirt to Kevin, who wasted no time in finding another reason to complain. "It's a little wrinkled. You don't even know how to iron a shirt, Emma. I'm going to have to start asking my mother to do it," Kevin said, his words cutting Emma like a knife, each one leaving an invisible but painfully felt mark. Her gaze fell on his shirt, wondering where she had gone wrong. While a part of her knew that it didn't matter how much she tried, Kevin would always find something to criticize. Those mornings had become a vicious cycle of failed attempts to please and subsequent humiliations. While Kevin dedicated himself to work outside the home, he expected Emma to take care of the house exclusively. She did her best by starting the day cleaning all over the floor, carefully folding her husband's clothes, and leaving everything impeccable. Emma was undoubtedly a woman dedicated to housework, a true master in the art of transforming a space into a cozy and orderly home. However, these efforts went unnoticed by Kevin. Every day, she expected him to notice the shine on the floor or the care with which her clothes were organized. Maybe she even waited for a simple thank you, but that recognition was never praised. Instead, it was the small flaws, the minimal slips that received all Kevin's attention. It seemed easier for him to point out what was wrong than to value what was good. For Emma, each day became a silent struggle, seeking appreciation in a sea of criticism. The day passed quickly for Emma, who immersed herself in her activities. Every day at home, she cleaned, ironed, and cooked, and at the end of the day, she was exhausted and worn out. Minutes before Kevin arrived, Emma's phone rang. "Hello, my daughter," was the voice of her mother on the other end of the line. Emma's mother, a woman to whom life had taught many things, and her maternal intuition told her that something was not right. "Everything was fine, daughter," Emma responded. "Hello, my dear mother. Everything was fine, and you called to find out why you haven't called more? You seem to have a weak voice." Emma then said, "I'm tired. Just that, mother. This house consumes my energy." Dorothy said, "No. You won't be working as an employee, right? Marriage isn't that. Marriage is a union and not exploitation." Emma said, "No, mother. Everything is fine. You can be calm." This conversation was a reflection of Dorothy's concerns. She knew the value of her daughter and feared that Emma was losing her inner light due to an unbalanced marriage. Dorothy's concern was a lighthouse in the midst of the storm that Emma faced daily, reminding her that marriage should be about the couple and not about servitude. Kevin arrived from work, and without greeting Emma, he began to give orders. "Dinner is ready," Emma responded softly. "Yes, Kevin, it is." Then she said, "I'm going to take a shower. Prepare the table. I'm coming." Emma began to prepare the table. Her body moved automatically in response to the daily routine. Kevin came out of the shower, and when he saw her, he threw out harsh phrases. "What happened to you? It seems like you were hit by a truck." He started laughing, making fun of Emma's appearance, who no longer had time to take care of her dark circles and the exhaustion around the room, while Emma felt that his words cut deeper than any previous criticism. It was a humiliation not only to her effort, but to her very essence. At that moment, a spark of sadness lit up in her eyes, a reflection of the pain that words can inflict when love and respect are absent. When sitting at the table, Emma brought the pots with rice, meat, and a salad. Kevin then said, "There is only this to eat. I put money in the house to eat well, and you don't even do that." Emma then said, "But that was what there was to do. I need money to go to the market." Kevin then started to eat and soon said, "And this burnt rice?" Emma said, "It was just the bottom of the pot. I ended up forgetting while cleaning the floor." Kevin responded, "This is horrible." Kevin's frustration spilled like vinegar on Emma's open wounds. Every word from him, every complaint, was a reminder that her efforts were in vain, that the appreciation she longed for was a distant dream. However, that night, something inside her began to change. The patience and resignation that had kept her silent for so long began to give way to a new consciousness. Emma began to realize that her dedication and effort deserved recognition, not contempt. The next day, everything was repeated, and it was as if Emma was living in hell. In the afternoon, she went to the market, her appearance exhausted and tired. Well, what was happening in the market aisle? She found her friend Emily. Emily said, "Look, friend, you are fine." Emma then said, "I thought that by getting married, I would have a better life, but it seems that is not the case, friend." Emily replied, "I don't have to say about mine. My husband treats me well. We divide the household chores. We respect each other and take care of each other. Anything different than that is not marriage." Emma started to cry. Emily asked, "What happened? Was it something I said?" Emily's words reached Emma like a ray of light in her darkness. She realized how far she had moved away from the idea of a healthy and balanced marriage, carrying mutual respect, fair division of responsibilities. All of that seemed like a distant dream to her. The tears that began to fall were a mixture of sadness and emotional exhaustion. Emma then opened her heart and told everything that happened to Emily, who responded, "Leave that husband of yours, my friend. He is exploiting you. You are a woman who deserves a good husband who will be your partner, not one who treats you as an employee and humiliates you daily. That husband of yours is a monster. Think about it. You are a good person who deserves someone the same and who treats you with love, dear, and not an idiot who mistreats you." Emily's words were direct, but loaded with truth that Emma felt but was hesitant to accept. This conversation was a turning point. For the first time, Emma allowed herself to consider the idea that life could be different, that it could be treated with dignity and respect, as it should be in any loving relationship. Emily's support gave her the courage to reflect on her feelings, elections, and about what she really deserved in her life. Tired of all the humiliations, Emma decides that it was time to end her suffering. When she arrived home with her purchases and heavy bags, on the other side, her neighbor Richard saw the scene and decided to help. "Let me help you, Emma. It's heavy for you. You can leave it." Emma then smiled. "Thank you very much, Richard. You are very kind," he responds. "It is only a man's obligation to help a beautiful woman like you." At that moment, Kevin arrived and saw the scene of the two of them talking and laughing. At the sight of Kevin, Richard says goodbye to Emma. See you later. And your mother, how is she? Emma says, okay, thank you for asking, as he enters. Kevin is furious and says, what were you talking about with that guy there? Emma then says, he did what you don't do. He helped me with the shopping. Kevin says, what you said is the same thing that you heard. I'm tired of you and your humiliations. Kevin then says, you are my wife. I thought I had married a woman and not someone who offered and makes my dinner. Now I'm hungry. Emma then says, if you want dinner, do it yourself. I'm not your employee. I'm your wife. I'm not your toy. You do what you want. Kevin says, but that's the role of a woman, to do what the man orders. Go ahead. I'm not going to do it anymore. You. Emma reveals an inner strength that had been suppressed by years of humiliation and disrespect. And nothing was enough. Always humiliating me. My mother was right. You are an abusive canalla. You are still going to pay for all this you do to me. God sees everything, and don't forget, everything that goes around comes around. Emma's words come out loaded with a mixture of pain, frustration, and a firm resolution. She looks directly into Kevin's eyes, each word like a mirror reflecting not only her actions, but also the consequences that they would bring. It was the first time that Emma so openly expressed her discontent, her pain, and her decision to no longer accept that treatment. Kevin, surprised by Emma's strength and determination, is left speechless. He did not expect that his wife, who had always been so complacent and submissive, would rise up against him in that way. Kevin says, I am the one who brings money to this house. I am in charge here, and you are going to do what I say, understand? Emma then says, no, what you want, you do it. Emma goes up to her room and locks herself in, where she spends the night crying and locked herself in the room for fear that Kevin would do something. The next day, Kevin was coming home from work and saw Emma's mother's car parked in front of the house. He said to himself, what does this old woman want here? When he entered, he saw some suitcases at the door and Emma on the sofa. He said, what does this old woman want here? I'm not going to support her either. Then Dorothy comes out of the kitchen and says, this old woman is the owner of this house that I left so that my daughter and you could live without shame, Kevin. He was left speechless. Well, no one confronted him, so Dorothy said, those suitcases are yours. Emma put everything of yours in them, and that's all you will take with you. Enough of the humiliation and abuse in this house. That's not why I brought my daughter into the world. He suffered too much. Take your things and leave. Kevin was cornered and says, it was just a misunderstanding. Emma then says, it was the misunderstanding that I didn't listen to my mother. I never want to see you again in my life, and I hope that one day you pay for the wrong you did to me. Kevin didn't have to say. He took his suitcases, put them in his car, which was the only thing he had. Before getting into the car, he still said, I'm going to look for my rights. I lived here with Ayla Dorothy. Then he says, search, but look carefully because you're not going to find anything here, Emma. Thanks her mother and says, thank you, Mom. I kept quiet for a long time, and I suffered all this for years. Dorothy says, now it's over, my daughter. When a mother says something, it's not because of her daughter's illness. It's just someone who has already lived a long time and knows what Emma is saying. So she says, I'm sorry, Mom. If I had listened to you, none of this would have happened. Thank you for getting me out of that hell. You always said that he was a bad man, and I never listened to you. I should have listened to you. But now it's too late, Dorothy answers. It's not late, my daughter. You have your whole life ahead of you. You are still going to meet someone who values you and treats you with respect and affection. After the turbulent days, Emma was beginning to feel a renewed sense of freedom, still a little shaken, but optimistic about the future. When they returned from the market with Dorothy, they were both carrying bags. They were surprised by the kindness of Richard, the neighbor, who offered to help them. "Thank you, Richard. You are a good boy." "I have always told Emma that," Dorothy said, leaving Emma a little embarrassed. After Dorothy entered, at home, a fortuitous moment unites Emma and Richard when they try to take the same bag. Their hands touch, and they exchange smiles. Accomplices. Richard then takes the opportunity to open his heart. "Emma, you know that I have always been in love with you. Would you give me a chance?" Emma, still feeling the scars of the past, answers, "Who knows, Richard? I am still very sad and hurt by what I went through. I do not want to suffer again. I know you must be different, but let's go slowly. At first, all the men are loving, gentle, and treat us well, but then they show their true colors. I know. Maybe you're not like that. But let's go calmly." Richard is understanding and says, "Okay, let me show you over time that I'm different." And as many say, the world turns around and puts everything in its place. A year later, Emma came home from the market, and this time Richard said, "Love, let me take the shopping bags." Emma smiles and says, "Okay." She had made the right choice. This time, she gave Richard a chance, who proved to be a true husband and man, helping her with daily tasks, giving her love, affection, and treating her with kindness, the respect that a man should have for a woman. Emma looked at Richard and could no longer think about her past where she suffered with Kevin. Now her life was full of love and complicity, and she was also expecting Richard's child, a love that would be sealed with another life that came into the world to definitively unite the couple. On the other hand, the phrases, "everything that goes around comes around," and "here you go, here you pay," never made as much sense to someone as to Kevin, tasting his own poison. Kevin married another woman who humiliated him, left the house all dirty where he chose whether he lived in the dirt or he himself cleaned, and on top of that, he betrayed him with his boss. He felt in his skin all the pain and suffering that he caused Emma every day. He thought about Emma and dreamed of having her back, the woman who did everything for him and whom he did not value. However, it was too late, and the punishment for Kevin took a while, but did not fail. Thank you for watching our stories. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like it. If you want to see more stories, you just have to click on one of the ones that appear in the See You Later.